everyone. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Tonight, we are going to be speaking about understanding the higher self. My name is Bernard Alvarez, and this is our Thursday consciousness class here on the GIC.org, the Global Illumination Council. Many people have written me and have asked, what is the higher self? Why is it important to understand it? And I felt this was a very important topic for us to be sharing here in the consciousness class series. To understand the higher self, we have to understand that it is not separate from us. It is something that is a part of our consciousness. Some people call it spirit. Some people call it soul. I feel it transcends all of those because those seem to have a limitation to them. For me, it's very infinite and transcends all dimensions, all realities, all lifetimes. The higher self is your connection and your divine spark to Source. We must remember that when we incarnated here on this particular plane to experience life, to experience our consciousness, to experience, that we left the singularity, for lack of a better term. The singularity that is what we call God, Goddess, Source, Universal Mind. There are many words that people use, but once we made the decision, which is a very strange term to use in this context, but when we applied ourselves to incarnate, we left that singularity, we left that universal mind consciousness, we left Source, and in doing so, we created polarity, we created opposites, we created contrast. We gave ourselves the opportunity to have experience and to have emotion. One of the things that is very important to understand about the higher self is that it is very intricately connected to your emotion. And that's not to say that the emotion is the higher self. However, the vibrations associated with your emotions are a way for the higher self to communicate to you. To clarify, the higher self does not communicate to you. The emotions don't communicate to the higher self. The higher self communicates to you through your emotion. What are you sensing? What are you feeling? Some of us call it intuition. Some of us call it psychic ability. Some of us call it ESP. Whatever it is that you want to call it, it is that higher self that is connected to the divine source of all things that is trying to communicate with you. One of the objectives that I have as a metaphysical practitioner or spiritual practitioner is to reconnect with my higher source, my higher self transcending into that which is the source of all things. Creating that communication again. There are many schools of thought out there that call it communicating with your holy guardian angel. You can call it that as well. Many people see their higher selves as the guardian angel that's on their shoulder watching out for them. It is important for us to have this dialogue and to have this this relationship with it. We see it with many spiritual paths. We see it in many religious paths. We see it in 12-step recovery programs. Having a relationship with a higher, I forgot the term they use, but something greater than ourselves. And it is greater than ourselves. There is no denying that the higher self and the connection to divinity and the connection to source is a part of all of us. No one is missing it. No one is without it. You may see people that may, through their actions, put themselves into a low vibratory state, either through no fault of their own or through their actions, being low vibratory beings, and this includes many of the people that those of us who are involved in activism are working to take out of power. However, to say that they do not have a higher self, to say that they are not a part of Source is completely incorrect. We all have it. We all are a part of the One. We all are aware of it on some level. And it is when we begin to build that understanding that we are a part of that one true source, that we are a part of the universal consciousness, the universal mind, that we can start having a dialogue. And having that dialogue means a lot because it will give you much clarity, it'll give you a lot more understanding as to the state of yourself, the state of your mind, your body, your planet, your relationships, and as well as the understanding of why things happen in the way that they happen. That is not to say that everything is predestined. By all means, there are multiple timelines. As I said earlier, the higher self transcends all timelines, transcends all lifetimes. But let's talk a little bit about how to create that dialogue with the higher self. And in order to create the dialogue with the higher self, we have to understand the way that it functions. I already said how it is transcendent of multiple timelines, multiple dimensions, how it transcends all thought, because it is thought. I know that might sound a bit of a paradigm in itself, a conundrum. However, the reality of it is that it is every thought, it is every emotion, it is every vibration, whether it be high, low, it is every dimension of existence. We are simultaneously on every one of these planes of consciousness, if we so choose to be. When we talk about people that channel, for example, a lot of people have many misconceptions, many different ideas of channeling, and it's basically the same thing as tuning a radio. When you are tuning a radio, when you're tuning into a specific frequency, when you learn how to tune your own radio, you will understand thought. You will understand vibration, and you will understand what your higher self is trying to say to you. The reality that some people may channel negative beings or whatnot, that's their radio frequency is broken. Or they've been distracted to move into a different frequency that is really not aligned with their higher self. So let's talk a little bit about how this happens, how this process of understanding yourself, understanding your higher self works. Well, the reality of it is that many of us, even though we know that it's there, do not have the practice, do not take the time to quiet the mind, do not take the time to listen. We're very busy constantly thinking about our next project, our next worry, or we are being inundated with fear, or we're being inundated with distraction, all of these things. And the reality of it is that it does take exercise. It's just like working out at a gym. You must exercise in order for it to develop. You're developing a psychic muscle, for lack of a better term. And in doing so, it will build that connection. Kind of what we talked about several weeks ago when we talked about building new neural pathways of thinking. It's a matter of habit. It's a matter of understanding. And the reality and the wonderful reality of it is that once you've made that connection, it's very easy, very, very easy to be able to reconnect with that at a moment. It's almost like driving to a new place that you've never been to before. And once you've driven there and you know your way how to get there, it's going to be very easy for you to get back there. And the same thing goes with having a communication link with your higher self or your holy guardian angel or source. Now, let's understand that the higher self, that it is a part of Source, is not separate from Source. It is a spark of the light, perhaps is a way to say it. The way that I envision it and the way that I've seen it in my visions and in my work, it's almost as if there's a kind of like a lava lamp glob. I'm sorry for using a weird psychedelic thing like that, but it is. It's almost as if it's like a psychedelic lava lamp glob, and you know those little bubbles that pop off of it. That would be the higher self. It's one little bubble that kind of just went. When I had my visions, and I had my vision quest, at the moment that I was connected with Source, when I had felt the All, when I had felt the One, I was looking at the planet Earth, and I kept seeing these little sparks of light coming down and returning back to Source, coming down, returning back to Source. Just little balls of light streaming down into the planet Earth, having their experiences, and then streaming back up. And that's basically the image that I'm trying to get across here. It is a part of the whole mass, the wholeness, the whole universal mind. It is no different, and it behaves like it. Remember, Source has no opinion. Source has no judgment. Source has no division. There is no contrast. There is complete unity. There is no polarity. It is complete oneness. So when we're dealing with these type of characteristics, in other words, getting to know and understanding the higher self, we need to understand it as something that is not judgmental, does not understand polarity. It just is. You know, someone said to me once, and this will translate hopefully for you for what I mean. Someone said to me once, or said to me, the meaning of life is that life has no meaning, and it doesn't have a meaning. Wait, the meaning of life is that life has no meaning. And the fact that it has no meaning has no meaning. It is. It is. It is. It is. We are. We are here to experience. We have the ability to experience. We have the ability to understand contrast, to understand polarity, and understand opposites, up and down, underneath, on top of. We have that ability. Our higher selves are both. In the sense of Source, in the sense of God, Goddess, whatever you would like to say, in that mind state, there is no wrong or right. There just is. There is no good or evil. There just is. There is no male or female. There just is. There are no opposites. We have created it through our own perceptions. So the perception of the higher self transcends everything that we perceive as human beings, everything that we perceive as a culture, everything we perceive as a nationality or a sexuality. It transcends all of this. One of the things that I enjoy about having a connection with my higher self, beyond the understanding of intuition and listening to intuition and having the courage to act on intuition, is that there always is that sense of peace if I decide to go there. It's just a matter of connecting, reconnecting, quieting the mind, and going between the thoughts. And that's what we're going to be talking about in just a few moments, is going between the thoughts. Our thoughts, again, are our creations. They are our creations, either through experience or through something that we've perceived and created either a judgment or some type of grasping, some understanding of it. Even the words that I'm using right now are thoughts. They're my thoughts. And to be in that place to transcend even what a word is, to be in a place to transcend definitions or needing definitions, is what I'm talking about. One of the messages that I got during my vision quest was that if you try to write this down, you will lose its meaning. And And again, I'm using words, but language again is necessary for us to communicate on this level of existence. However, it was more of a feeling, an intuition. There is no way to put it into words. So, in order for us to transcend our language, to transcend our culture, to transcend our biases, our egos, our past experiences, our future hopes and dreams, to be able to transcend all of that, we have to find that place that is between the thoughts. And it's a very simple process once you get to understand how to do it. It's a very simple process to get into that place of nothing in order to develop that relationship with your higher self. When you get to that place of quiet, complete silence, that's when your soul is going to start speaking to you. That is when your higher self will start speaking to you, God, Goddess, Source, whatever the terminology it is that you choose. We hear about it throughout history and throughout many cultures and throughout all of the paths of spirituality that are out there, of people that have spoken to the divine. It's more common than you think. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm going to be gentle here and say that there are some leaders out there who think they're speaking, but again, you can see the judgment behind what they're sharing with you. You can see and you'll be able to see this much easier as well as you develop this ability. How shall I say, the agenda behind the words. My only agenda here today is to hopefully, make it easier for you to understand your divinity, make it easier for you to understand your connection to the infinite, and to transcend everything that we think about ourselves, whether it be good or bad, to transcend all of it and understand our infinite possibilities, our infinite connection, and our infinite everlasting life, for lack of a better term. And I don't mean to sound biblical, but the reality of it is this is one life. This is one experience. We keep going and going and going. And when we connect with that higher self, when we connect with Source, we start to understand there is really no time. Time is a man-made concept. We understand that is. That's it. Is. I'm going to take a very short break, and when we return, we are going to talk more about going between the thoughts, and I'm literally going to take you through an exercise. It's a visualization. I've been using it for years. I've been teaching it for many years. And this particular visualization is a great and a very successful way of learning how to find the thoughts, identify the thoughts, and then go in between them into the silence. We'll be doing that in just about 5 minutes.